Welcome to the Platform Academy. We are thrilled to kick off the session right here at the top of the hour. I'm Sharon Barnes, your Platform Outbound Product Manager and today's host, and we have an incredible session lined up. And I can't wait for us to dive in. But before we get started, let me share just a few quick logistics. These presentations are crafted with you in mind, and our goal is to inspire you with those fresh ideas and real-world use cases that are going to help elevate your understanding of the breadth and just abilities of our platform tools. So as we're going through, feel free to fire away with your questions. Please make sure to post them in the Q&A session. It just helps our panelists make sure that they address them all. Also, don't worry if you miss something. The session is being recorded and will be available on our community through the Platform Academy forum. And we want to make sure that your voices are heard. So after the event, there will be a quick survey that will help us improve our content for everyone. And of course, just a quick reminder to practice safe harbor. We might share some exciting new features today, so let's keep everything compliant with those best practices. Now, let's get to the good stuff. I am thrilled to introduce our amazing speakers who are going to take us through the journey of what's new for Zurich and knowledge management. And that with me, I have Rob and Lisa. Go ahead and take it away.
Hey, thank you so much. Yeah, this is Rob Martonsik. I am the outbound product manager for knowledge management here within our platform team. Outbound simply means that I get to enjoy working with our customers doing events like this, where we talk about enablement for our products, introducing features, roadmaps, etc., and taking any feedback that you as our customers have back to our inbound product team to talk about new ideas that we might introduce into the platform and products. We're super excited you're here. Thank you for coming, and I hope to see you participate in our Q&A and chat. Lisa?
Hi, thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Lisa Hohenstein. I'm an outbound product manager on the same team as Rob and with working with Sharon and Patty. I live in Germany. I have been with ServiceNow for over 7 years, or almost 7 years, and I am the outbound for workflow automation. So today I am here to work with Rob and bring you a better together story, and that is talking a little bit to my expertise, and that is flows on the Now platform for knowledge management in this case. So I look forward to teaching you more about that.
Thank you so much. So with that, let's talk about our agenda today. So a little bit different than a lot of the academies that we've done recently. This one's going to be focused primarily on what's new in Zurich. With that, I know that a lot of our customers only uptake family releases. Maybe they don't know about our quarterly store releases, sometimes more than quarterly store releases, as well as sometimes skip releases. So I'm not going to go all the way back to Yokohama and before. There are other academies where we cover that information, but I am going to cover a couple of the store releases that we had earlier in the year just to make sure everybody's aware of what's been released there. And then we'll talk briefly about what's new in Zurich with a particular highlight on the topic of flows and Workflow Studio. With that topic, we will turn it over to Lisa, and she's going to give us a deep dive on flow, the power of flow, why it's so useful. We're going to try and get your creative juices going and want you to come back with some questions for us and some ideas of how we can help enable you going forward. So before we get started with that agenda, though, we'd like to kick it off with a poll. So what we're doing with this poll is we'd like to hear from you about what knowledge management features you're currently using today, those that are on the call. And you'll see why this comes back as we go through flows and what we're going to be talking about today. But we're really interested in what templates you use with knowledge management, i.e. do you use kind of a standard template where it's a single field? Are you aware of the other out-of-the-box templates? Perhaps you're a little bit more mature in your knowledge process or using a well-known standard like KCS, and you've implemented the KCS template and its features, or you've implemented your own custom templates to support what you need at your organization. We're also interested in those of you using knowledge blocks to have reusable content in your articles. And if you've started using any of the preliminary features we've started rolling out for some things coming in December, like duplicate identification and other features with Now Assist. So excited to hear from everybody. Come back and take a look at those results fully in just a second. But just a real quick recap. So we had a store release in May, had the day before our knowledge event in Vegas, actually, where we did release that duplicate article identification. And duplicate might be a little bit of a misnomer, but this finds very similar articles in across your knowledge bases and within your organization, and allows your team to review those to see if any action needs to happen. This is a Now Assist function that's kind of step one on the path to knowledge health. And what this helps do is reduce confusion of your consumers of knowledge by eliminating articles that might have conflicting information. Perhaps one article's older and just never got retired. Or maybe articles have overlapping content and could be cleaned up, make them a little bit more concise, reduce that overlap, and try and target the true knowledge concept of a question answer type design. It also will help in your search results by making your knowledge articles more relevant and accurate to what your customers are asking. So that was released back in May, and documentation on our ServiceNow docs.servicenow site can be easily found by just looking a search term, something like identify duplicate articles. In July 31st, I think of it more as the August release, but July 31st, we released custom templates for knowledge draft generation. So we released drafting articles with Now Assist back in Washington patch 3, I believe, and it's grown since then over time. So in July, we enabled you to clone the skill for the knowledge generation and point at any additional templates you would like, including including custom templates that you might have. So we're going to do an Academy short on this coming soon, where I will actually build out just a example custom knowledge template, and then we will repoint the skill so that if you do have questions about this or kind of want to see what that looks like, we'll dive a little bit deeper. But again, this is available today on store. All right, so let's take a look at those poll results. Sharon, is there a way to pull that up, or do I just talk through the little thing on my screen here?
It is shared now. Hopefully you see it.
All right. Okay, so very few on the line, not yet using knowledge, which is to be expected, being that this is a knowledge-focused academy here within platform. And it looks like we got quite a spread. So we've got plenty of customers that have kind of the basic knowledge management implemented with the standard template. A little bit higher percentage than I thought with the KCS template, so that's really nice to see as well, and a very high percentage with custom knowledge templates. So I think this will be a great conversation for you with what we're doing with flows and workflows here. Thank you for sending that information. All right. So let's get to what's new in Zurich. So I've already hinted at this a few times. I'm going to stop this animation just so it's not too distracting here yet, but we are moving as an organization away from any of our older ancillary workflow tools that came with specific products, and we're standardizing on our flows engine with Workflow Studio at ServiceNow. So this is a low no code workflow design, drag and drop, really great interface that we're moving away from the legacy workflows in knowledge management. So this is going to give you a lot more flexible workflows and a lot more powerful components that will allow you to create more complex workflows much simpler. Now, we're not forcing in Zurich any customers to move to flows. We're enabling customers to move to flows. This has been something that's been asked for a while. A lot of customers came up and asked when we were going to do this at our knowledge event. But what you'll see is that we've created a pretty straightforward migration path for the three different scenarios for our customers. So if you are a new customer deploying on Zurich, you will only see Flows and Workflow Studio going forward. On the screen here is an example of what that would look like as you're configuring your knowledge base. You'll be able to specify which publish flow and which retire flow you would like to use, and you'll have the same style and functional workflow process that you know of as the legacy workflows. You will have that same process, but in flows. So that's for new customers deploying on Zurich. So you will only see those fields. For upgrade customers, you will see both the workflow fields and the flow fields. These are either or fields. So you can choose to move to flow, but you have to choose one or the other at this point. And you can't have them fighting with each other for who's the master workflow. So what's nice is we've recreated the legacy workflows in flow. So if you are out of the box in terms of your workflows, you can simply switch over to flows and there's no additional work that needs to be done. You would just select, in this instance on the screen, you see instant publish. You would select that same publish flow in the drop down below and whoops, looks like I moved my presentation forward. It will automatically remove the workflow selection from the legacy selection. So very simple. If you have customized or configured anything additional to your workflows in knowledge management, you can migrate at your own pace. And hopefully through the course of today, you'll see why you want to do that and the benefits of Flow and Workflow Studio. So this is a big change from the back end of ServiceNow that we're excited to be standardizing on this. A few more minor changes coming in Zurich. So we've updated the article layout slightly from what you might be used to. And we did this for a couple of reasons. So we've got Knowledge Center and an enhanced article editor coming. You'll see a teaser for that in just a slide or two. But we're also building some additional functionality in other product lines that need knowledge to be laid out in kind of a single line of information. So we've just moved a few of the fields slightly to make it more intuitive as you're using and reading down your knowledge article. So let's go through them. Article number and author information has moved. Today, it's at the bottom of an article. And Sharon, if you can't see my mouse moving, I'm using my mouse as a pointer here. If you can't see it moving, please let me know. If you can, don't worry about it. So we have the author, by, and the article numbers at the bottom of the current article. It is being moved to the top next to the title of the article. This layout just brings that important information up to the top. The most impactful one is did this article help you? Yes, no, is moving from off to the right where it creates a lot of blank space on the article. And we're moving that to the bottom to align with the rest of the feedback options after reading through a knowledge article. And then lastly, we are moving the version and language also to the top of the article just to make that more front and center. So like I said, just making this slightly more intuitive and bringing it all in line. for some coming features, soon coming features. For those on Zurich, there will also be a new theme available. It's called our Coral theme. So some new colors and fonts available with our theming. And lastly, in Zurich, we now support additional third-party LLMs for your knowledge generation and the article context menu. So if you highlight a section of text and ask it to expand or make it a little bit more concise, you can use your favorite third-party model to do that. So what's coming next? This is a little bit of a teaser slide. Our next Academy session, scheduled for December 9th currently, will focus on the store rollout and introduction of Knowledge Center and our enhanced content editor. So V1 of these two features is targeted, again, safe harbor, December's store release. Knowledge Center is a workplace landing page for knowledge owners that's going to allow you to execute basic administration of knowledge management from one place, as well as leverage Now Assist to create actionable insights to improve your overall knowledge health and expedite knowledge creation. So more to come on that. Hopefully you guys have seen previews of this a little bit already, especially if you were at our knowledge event, but really excited for this coming in December. We also have an enhanced content editor that we will cover. This is a modern editor, drag and drop HTML layouts, formatting, etc., that will also have article optimization built in with Now Assist to help you check your articles and give you recommendations on how you can improve your articles for accessibility, searchability, and just general quality of your articles. So more to come. Please attend that session. I love all the reactions. Okay, so poll question 2 kind of aligns with the topic as we get into our discussion about flows. We really want to hear from you ideas that you might have for what you could do with flow going forward for workflow processes and examples of steps that would interest you that we could highlight in another Academy short that we publish on our community. So if you have ideas for what you would like to see as examples of some type of workflow that you have in mind with knowledge management, and you want to drop that into our chat, please do. And in the meantime, we'd like you to answer a poll question about how you publish your articles today. A little bit of time
I
there.
think this is a good moment to address a couple of questions. We have loads of questions. Thank you for all the engagement that's coming in through the Q&A panel and the chat while this poll is running. I want to address 2 that I picked out for my part, and some of these things we shortly addressed earlier, but I will talk about as well. One question is, when does it get mandated to move off legacy workflow? We don't. That's the short answer. The long answer is the legacy workflow engine will continue working. We currently have no plans to shut the engine off. We might in the future restrict the option to create new legacy workflows, but as I said, you can just let them running. If it's not a high stakes thing for you, you can let them running. If you haven't really customized your legacy workflows, you can easily switch over to the out-of-the-box flows without any loss of functionality. So I think that is the most pressing question for a lot of people right there. And then another question that I found interesting, which is one of the use cases for workflows or in general, or flows in connection with knowledge, is would flows allow us to automatically create and publish translations? The great benefit of moving over to flows and also playbooks is that you get access to the whole breadth of Gen AI features. So we are currently working on allowing and adding more interoperability between AI agents, for example, and other Now Assist and Gen AI functionality. So one of the options that you might have is to actually create translations, or even maybe make use of dynamic translations for your knowledge articles, and to use that within the context of flow. A lot of these features are not available in workflows, in legacy workflows, and all of the innovation that we do on the Now Assist side and generally generative AI side, AI agent and agentic work, all of that will be in the flows and playbooks space. So that is one thing I wanted to highlight. And then maybe, Rob, once you got a lay of the land, did you want to address any of the questions live?
Yes. So I assumed you were running through the Q&A panel, but I see some great stuff in chat too. So I'm going to try and attack some of the chat, and then I will go back through the Q&A while you're presenting and try and answer some more questions at the end. But I just want to hit a couple of these really quick. So there's two in here that look like they overlap. Is the new interface required? Do you have to move to the modern editor experience? So this is in reference to the previous slide that I brought up about the enhanced article editor. The answer is no, that's going to be in addition to TinyMCE. We've got lots of customers who love Tiny. I think it's kind of a standard that's out there, and it has some great features and interface once you kind of get used to it. So the new interface, the new modern editor experience will be in addition to it. The enhanced content editor, though, will be the place where you will be able to leverage Now Assist for article optimization quickly. So let's see. Go ahead, Lisa.
Rob, the question about Knowledge Center, is that post Zurich? From what I understand, this is available in a store release currently planned for December. Does it require Zurich, or will it also be compatible with Yokohama instances? Do you know?
Right now, as I understand it, again, Safe Harbor, it will require Zurich due to some of the features that underlay the enhanced content editor and some of the things that we're doing with Knowledge Center. That's why is rolling in December. So
Excellent.
I believe it will require Zurich.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And let's see. I missed a LinkedIn invite, so I will check that. I see that some are struggling with how to do workflows with the legacy workflow tool. So hopefully our Academy short and Lisa's presentation here gets you excited. And what are customers automating in Knowledge to reduce manual effort? So hopefully some of what you've seen with our releases with Now Assist have helped answer that question. A lot of customers are using Now Assist to generate drafts and expedite doing that as we expedite creating articles quickly, especially from their agents as things are coming in. We hear from our own Now on Now story about how our own support team has reduced time to create an article or publish an article from over 6 days down to less than 1, because the agents are more confident to create the article because Now Assist is giving them a better starting place. But not only that, whenever the articles are then reviewed, they're better draft, so they're getting approved sooner as well. I've also heard a lot about SkillKit and some of the labs that we have out there around SkillKit. We heard at Knowledge where customers are automating some of their AQI questionnaire and things like that. So we're always looking for stories where we can publish some of those customer successes. And you'll hear a lot more Knowledge 26, that event. We're going to have a lot more pomp and circumstance about Knowledge Center and the enhanced content editor there. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Lisa. I'll stop talking and then I'll go back for Q&A at the end.
That's quite all right. I just wanted to address one question in the webinar chat from JP. I have struggled to understand how to use the approval process for publish. Just a quick clarification, is that in the new flow version, or are you looking at legacy workflows? Because the answer would be different in that case. And then that would be legacy. All right. Then I will have to let Rob answer that, because there are probably some settings how to decide who gets to approve. But I will go ahead and move on with this one then. So I will start a little bit from the top on workflow automation on the ServiceNow platform, because a lot of you might not have touched Workflow Studio before, depending on your role. If you are developers, you probably have built the one or two flows in your career so far. But for those who haven't, I just wanted to quickly highlight how to do that. In our platform, we have a builder called Workflow Studio. We used to have multiple. We used to have Flow Designer, Process Automation Designer, Decision Builder, and all the fun things. We decided to migrate them all, or like fuse them all into one workflow builder that is called Workflow Studio. Naming is hard. All of the builders that are now integrated in Workflow Studio are also available in ServiceNow Studio. So if you are a developer on your instance and you are building apps, workflows, UIs, and all of the things, you can do the same, be that in Workflow Studio or in ServiceNow Studio. You have all of the same features. So it doesn't matter in which of these interfaces you build, but if you're going to look for Flow Designer, you will be automatically redirected to Workflow Studio today. In Workflow Studio, we offer not just the option to build flows. You can build subflows that are reusable. For example, for your approval processes, that's always a good scenario for subflows to make them reusable across multiple flows, or playbooks. A playbook is a larger scale process that can run across your enterprise, involve multiple teams. This would, for example, be a good application space to work with translation teams, to do internationalization for your knowledge base. You could have, for example, different playbooks that involve different teams and have tasks for translating into multiple languages and then publishing the finished article if that is something that is part of your process. Then we also have more reusable items like triggers. We can now reuse triggers across multiple flows. We have enhanced schedule triggers available. So if you, for example, want to build a flow that runs every week to check on flows, to check on knowledge articles that have feedback that needs to be addressed, or if you have any knowledge articles that need to get reviewed, or other processes that you have in your knowledge management processes, then a scheduled flow might be interesting. Here we added a couple new features to be able to schedule them better. Options to, for example, schedule on the first Monday of a month or on the last Thursday of a year, monthly, yearly, just work days, by adding system schedules to scheduled flows. So there's a whole range of integrations there. And then the second one that might be interesting for triggers and save triggers is that we greatly enhanced external triggers. So you can now build a webhook-like trigger to launch automation on your ServiceNow platform from an external system. So if you have a different system where you are, for example, working on some other processes and these should kick off something in ServiceNow, then that is your way to go. And then decision tables, I'll talk to those a little bit later. These are great to remove the need for complex if-then-else constructs. And I'll show a little screenshot of that, how that might look later. So flows. Flows are our low-code builder. I am teasing you here with the diagram view. Unfortunately, right now for the knowledge trigger, diagram view is not yet available, but we're working on that to bring that to you as well. The great thing about flows is that they're simple to read. They give you easy to read information on what is actually happening in your flow, different from legacy workflows where you would often have scripted items, scripted actions. These are a lot easier to understand and click together. You can just add nodes and have your branches, have decisions, send notifications, get approvals, and everything that you might need in your knowledge lifecycle. Generally, what are flow use cases? Where or when could flows run? Some of these I've mentioned before. We have record use cases. So anytime a record gets created, updated, it could be a way to launch a flow or automation. The scheduled options I mentioned previously. We also have the automation engine part, which is required for the external triggers. And then we can also run flows for like service catalog, service level agreements, etc. And then new in Zurich, knowledge management. So knowledge has its own trigger for flows and it is own way to start that. The trigger record will then be the knowledge base article or the knowledge block or the knowledge template, whatever kind of record that you use and want to run your flows on. And these are the ones, so if the trigger is set to knowledge management, those are the ones that you can then pick in your knowledge base configuration. When you do approvals in Flow, these can be multitudes. So a lot of customers don't really realize how complex Flow approvals can be. We can have simple ones, sequential approvals, parallel, or also scripted approvals. Here's just a screenshot of some different options. So you can define your approval rules to say, approve, approve or reject, or only reject if 50% of users replied, if all responded and anyone replied, if one person rejects or two people reject. So you have plenty options to do this. You can have one or multiple groups, you can have multiple users, whatever your approval scenario requirements are. And to guide you through doing approvals in flows, there are two big articles on the community. I'll leave this up for just a second, but I'll also post those links in chat in just a minute. These are really helpful if you want to really understand what kind of approvals you can do inside of flows or subflows in any way that you might need them for knowledge. So, okay, I will post it in a minute, so don't run away. And then one of my favorite features in Workflow Studio is decision tables. They don't look like much, but they make your flows and also scripts, by the way, and playbooks so much better to use. Decision tables are, as the name says, a table. You give it a couple of inputs that can be references, but also a date, choice, string, number, integer, whatever you need. And then you can have a whole range of condition rows. These can also be really big. So we have customers that have decision tables with hundreds of rows, and they perform so much better and faster than complex if-then-else constructs or switch statements in code. The major benefit of decision tables here is that you can also reuse them across multiple use cases if necessary, for example, to decide approvers or approval groups for your processes. But you can also grant delegated development access for your business process owners to change data in decision tables. So there are a couple of options here. You can either grant options to only change the results, so the outcomes of the decisions. You can grant permissions to change all of the rows, but not the column configuration. And then, of course, you can also grant permissions to edit the whole decision table. Additionally, if you do not want to grant the business owner specific delegated development permissions, you can export the decision table to an Excel sheet, send that over, have them change it, save it, send it back to your developer, and they can import the changed decision table from the Excel sheet without having to grant delegated development permissions if that's not necessary. And now to show you the power of a decision table, if you look at this decision table, it's a really quick one. We just have one condition column to say which drink was chosen in our cantina bar, and then the different server will bring that drink to you. And if I put this in my catalog flow, if I hadn't put it in my flow, this flow could look like this and have loads of if-then-else constructs, and this is really, really annoying to maintain. But if I use my decision table, my flow is suddenly much shorter, much easier to maintain. I have my catalog variable here. This could be something else in knowledge. I make a decision, I give it one input in this case, and I receive all the info that I need to update or create any further records or use the decision output in my approvals, for example. So decision tables, amazing, love them. Always use them if you can, if you have any decisions that might change frequently. So much until here, and I think we'll pick up the poll result and then maybe look at some of the questions again. Let's see, we have the poll. As I see, the majority of people are using an approval workflow, so that is really good. And they're mostly using the out-of-the-box workflow or out-of-the-box instant publish. That is amazing, because then your migration path will be easy. You can just switch this in your knowledge bases, replace the publish workflow with the out-of-the-box publish flow, and you should be good to go. If you have done customizations, there's a session, another Academy short that Rob and I have been talking about. We'll be doing in the next couple of months. We will be creating a video that walks you through the steps to create a custom approval workflow for your knowledge base, and that can also be analog to the retire workflow, of course. And then how to maybe make use of decision tables at this place. So I think that's an interesting session. Keep your eyes on the overview page for the Platform Academy so that and I think you can also subscribe to playlists so you don't miss this one. Let me see if there are more questions. A lot of them are already being addressed.
There are, Lisa. If you want to jump to timestamp 12:35 p.m., maybe a change in time zone. So 35 after.
Yes.
There's one that starts for you. If you could start reviewing those and see if you want to pick up any of them.
Definitely. The first one is, can a decision table be called across multiple flows? Absolutely. That is the great part about decision tables. Reuse them wherever you need them. And you can also use them from script. So if you have a decision table, there's a button on the top in the overflow menu, just like you have for flows. If you click this 3-dot overflow menu, there's a way to create a code snippet so that you can also use your decision table to make decisions in other places that require code. So let me see if there's more.
There was another one. What roles can set up flows? Thanks. Did you?
Yes. What roles can set up flows? The highest level role is flow_designer. There's a I will post more links in the chat in just a second. There's one link for my Center of Excellence that I will show in a minute. I'll just move past this real quick. If you go to sn.works/COE, there are links to a page getting started with flows, getting started with playbooks, and getting started with decision tables, and getting started with triggers. Those pages will direct you to all of the information, which roles are available, what about delegated development, how to do approvals, and then of course training. So there are flow and playbook courses on the ServiceNow University. So definitely check those out to learn more and learn how to create them. Do we have a live demo of these features today? Not today, but as I said, we will be recording an Academy short to walk through how that works for knowledge specifically. All right, and now I think we have the other poll going. Yes. Excellent. Thank you so much. Cool. Let me get out my links, post those in chat, and I think I can hand it over to Rob for closing out or answering more questions.
Yeah, I'm going to answer a few more, and then Sharon, hopefully you don't need too much time here at the end. Thank you so much, Lisa. That was amazing. Looks like we've got a lot of people that like many of the specific features you called out there. So let's see here. Going back to the top of this list, there's a lot of feedback of asking about the author versus the owner and permalink. I will provide that feedback. I don't have that answer today, but that is obviously something you all care about. It's been brought up a couple of times, so I will take that feedback immediately after this to our inbound team. I also saw a couple of questions about specific changes to TinyMCE. TinyMCE open source plugin that we use, and we do not control TinyMCE directly. I will bring the question to our inbound and development team to see if that's something that ServiceNow has limited, but I do not believe so, but I will try and get that answer back. Let me see if there's any other. There was a question about different types of, and there are a few questions about embedding different fonts, different images, videos, etc. I don't know if what specific interface that's related to, but with the new enhanced content editor, there will be more capabilities with cut and paste. There will be much more plentiful abilities with HTML in general. And there are specific functionalities, and right now they're called blocks. I'm not loving the name of that, but they're section blocks for articles, not to be confused with knowledge blocks that will help with things like multimedia and layout. But please, more to come on that in December as we finalize what's going to make that release versus get pushed to Q1. I'm going to go ahead and stop for a second on the questions so I can just consume some more of them. But Sharon, you want to take it for closeout?
I would be glad to. And by all means, while I do our final information, we will end with more questions because I think the most value we can provide is those answers. Also, if we don't get to your question, don't worry. We will follow up with it after the event with the post-event blog. It's not that we don't like your question. It's just that we've had about 40 questions so far. So it's a lot for us to go through, and we will get to you as soon as we can. In the meantime, I do always love to remind people you have found, in my opinion, the best academy already. We've got several coming up in the upcoming weeks during our What's New in Zurich season. So we've got the machine identity ACLs. I'm super excited for this one because it looks like it is going to solve a pain point that I, as a developer, always disliked. So I'm looking forward to that next Tuesday. And then we'll be going into our mobile features and what's new there on the Thursday after. As I mentioned, there are multiple academies. You've already found the Platform Academy. We also have our AI Academy, our Process Mining Academy, and our Platform Analytics Academy. And I recommend take a look at each of those. They've got some great content there as well. And then if you're looking for even more information on how to do amazing things with ServiceNow, we also have Impact, our training and certification systems, and expert services, all available to help you get the most out of ServiceNow. And speaking of getting the most out of ServiceNow, as an organization of platform owners, we want your feedback. We really appreciate all of those who have volunteered in the past, and hopefully a few more will as well today. Scan the QR code or go to the website, and you can use this to set up a time to meet with us. We'll reach out, set up a good time for you, and just go through some of those questions and use cases and see how we can make the platform better. And last but not least is a thank you to our amazing presenters. Great information that you have brought to us today. Thank you for all of our attendees. And I'm actually going to interrupt with just one quick plug. I saw this week that the call for content for Knowledge has gone live. For those of you who have gone before, Knowledge is one of our major conferences throughout the year. It happens in May. I hope that you will join us there. One of the easiest ways to get to the Knowledge conference, or at least for me as a developer, it was to go as a speaker. And call for content is the opportunity to submit a talk for that. I just found out about this yesterday, so I haven't got a slide together for it, but I'll put together. Oh, Lisa's got me with the links in chat for where to find out more information on that. And that said, any other questions that we wanted to answer live?
I have one. There was a question about difficulty accurately previewing articles. I know that's a common feedback we get from Tiny and just how to edit articles in general. The enhanced content editor is specifically targeting some of those challenges. So it's a WYSIWYG type design. What you see is what you get. So as you're developing the article, the preview is going to basically be one-to-one, but it will also have additional preview capabilities to see what's this going to look like on a phone or a tablet or a different interface. So pretty excited about it. Don't want to go too much more into it until GA here. We're getting too close, and I want to make sure that we're fairly accurate to what's releasing when, but please attend the December meeting for that. There were a lot more questions I've tried to answer. Hopefully everybody can see the answers that I've typed in. Again, as Sharon mentioned, we will go back and answer as many of these as we can. There are a few very specific instance environment type questions that are in here. Please pass those through your account team to see if those need to go to support or if they need to get them over to us to see if there's anything else we could do, but your account team was probably the best to get you in touch with the right person. Lisa, there were a few more flow things. I know we're coming up on time, but anything else you want to touch on here?
Yes, let me see. What is your recommendation if there are many decision records needed to make a decision? You can have multiple inputs for your decision, and you can also hand in a reference record and use multiple columns from that or fields from that reference record to make a decision. So maybe you don't have to have like 5 individual inputs to your decision table, but maybe all of these inputs are already present on a record. Then you can just hand in the record and use the fields for your decisions. So that is one on the decision tables. Let me see. I did post the overview blog for the Platform Academy in chat as well. So a couple of questions were around where do we address any questions we don't get to today or things that we might have to post because we have to ask our product owners. So that is definitely where we will link to the blog and also answer any questions and post the answers that we had. What is the best way to transfer an update set with decision table to another instance? That should just be update sets. So there's no, if you run into an issue with things like that and the decision table is empty, first line of approach is update your Workflow Studio store app. Make sure that your store app from the application manager has the latest version. And if that does not help, please submit a support case, now support. So that should be the regular way to transport your decision tables. I see a question about retiring articles. I think there might be something on to create a flow to review articles if they haven't been updated so that they don't get auto retired, but maybe there's a way to build a flow instead of instant publishing to review them to make sure that the ones that are still valid don't get deactivated.
And there are coming, again, not getting too far into the future, but there are coming dashboards that are going to help you catch those items as well, things that need to be actioned soon, perhaps articles that could be touched. I don't know if everybody's aware of this. Freshness of an article plays into its weight in your search results. So, we want you going through, refreshing your articles, touching them every now and again to make sure that they're valid, and the Now Assist is going to help you kind of do that as well. So kind of twofold answer there, the proactive and the workflow.
Yeah. I think that typing out one more question, one more answer, but I don't have anything else.
Well, my manager is on the line,
ones.
so I appreciate everybody's participation, the emotion icons, any glowing feedback you want to put in chat, any negative feedback you want to hold to yourself would be great. And we really appreciate everybody coming, and I hope this was helpful. Thank you for all your questions.
Yes. Thank you again for joining us. And yes, we will have the recording of this session available in the next week or two. I hope you have a beautiful Thursday. We will see you all hopefully next week.
Thank you all so much for joining us today. Bye.
Thanks, Lisa. Thanks.